All right, welcome. We are here at Fujikura's. We're in the Enzo room.
We are.
At headquarters. I'm joined by, of course, Spencer Reynolds. Spencer, you and I, we'd love to get together when there's new product.
I mean, I'm going to literally make the same joke I make every time we make a video, which is you like to see me because I always show you cool new stuff.
That's right. I think that should just be a series.
I'm good with it.
I think it should just be a series.
I'm cool with that relationship.
Spencer with new product.
I'm cool with it.
But we're here in Fujikura's Enzo room. We're at headquarters here in Carlsbad, and we've got some brand new Ventus shafts here on the table.
We do.
And I think there's something that I'm super interested because I think we've got something very interesting. It's brand new. It's going to replace previous version, but we've also got new on the table. And we are talking Fujikura Ventus HB hybrid shafts. Yeah. And I feel bad calling it a hybrid shaft because it can also be used.
It's utility irons as well.
Utility irons. So I feel like calling it a hybrid shaft is a little bit of an issue, but brand new HB shafts. And if you didn't know, they had Ventus HB shafts before. We had black and blue.
Correct.
And that came out a little bit after the Ventus line. And mid-launch, low launch, kind of like you would expect.
Correct.
And this year we're adding a third one.
We are.
Just super exciting. But we got the brand new ones here. Kind of talk through what is kind of the big thing with the brand new Ventus shaft. Just kind of high level before we get into each model.
Yeah.
What's kind of the high level with looking at these brand new HB shafts for 2025?
So in 2024, we launched a new Ventus part, right? We started with a blue and then we added on the red and black. And the biggest upgrade in technology is what we call VeloCore Plus. So just like brief refresher, right? When we had original VeloCore, which was an original Ventus Hybrid and TR, essentially is when we take high modulus material and a combination of materials and run them the full length of the golf shaft. And what that essentially does is just builds a very, very stable platform. And once we have that platform, we can alter weight and flex and profile and do all these things, and consistency kind of rules throughout. So what we saw with the original VeloCore is we saw, improved ball speeds, better consistency, better accuracy, and really just an overall tighter, more consistent golf shaft. So we took that and we added to that, and that's where we came up with VeloCore Plus. So Plus is a little bit on the nose, right?
Yep.
But we did add a third material to that bias core. So original VeloCore is just 2 materials. This is 3. Yeah. The reason for integrating that third material into the bias is it reinforces the platform that much more. So we saw upticks in ball speed, upticks in stability, all the things we wanted, and we did that by adding a third material. The other big change with that VeloCore Plus is we altered the feel a bit in a good way. So the shafts kind of in that Ventus lineup, the new lineup, compared to the original, you're going to see all the improvements in performance that you want to see, but the feel's a little livelier. They got a little more pop to them. And those were the biggest things that we wanted to capitalize on. We wanted to make profiles that were similar to the original with performance characteristics of launch and spin. We wanted to enhance where we can enhance with accuracy, with speed, with consistency, and we want the shaft to feel good. We don't want to get too far away from where we are, so that was a big improvement for us. And like we've talked about with anything, we talked about this when we talked about Axiom irons. If we find a key piece of technology that works in something and it proves out, it is absolutely in our consideration set to explore that into other categories, and that's kind of where you see VeloCore Plus make its appearance in these new hybrid shafts. So these will replace the original Ventus hybrid shafts. We started, as you mentioned, with a blue and a black, so kind of like a mid-launch, mid-spin, and then we had the black, which was very, very stiff. It was only in TX flexes. We only had a couple SKUs. That was kind of like the spin launch killer. Please don't go left in the utility hybrid category. So what we've done with this line is we've brought a third profile in. There's now going to be a red. We still will have the black and the blue. We're going to expand our SKU mix a little bit, so the black SKUs won't be quite so limited. So you are going to have a low launch, low spin option, a mid launch, mid spin option, and this is kind of the new one.
Yeah, right. Which I would assume is going to be similar to red, where you're looking kind of mid-high, mid-spin.
Exactly. So in this profile, where the hybrid is slightly different than the woods, is the handle section won't be quite as stiff. It's still very stiff, just not quite as stiff, because we want a little more active loading in the hybrid profile. But yeah, you hit that exactly right. It's going to have a softer tip section. It's going to create more launch and spin. The blue kind of sits in the middle with a similar profile to the woods, where you have a firm handle section that gets progressively stiffer towards the tip, and then the black, of course, is kind of the low launch, low spin. But it seemed to make sense to us to bring in the third profile, the red, to have something that can generate more launch and spin for players that are trying to get hybrids up in the air, or even utility irons up in the air. And something that can accurately stop on a green is huge in this part of the bag. So we're very excited about it. It's a great new upgrade to the line. And we're excited for players to try it.
Yeah, and I think this makes a whole lot of sense. I remember I was a big fan of Ventus Blue HB, or Ventus HB Blue. When it came out, black was just my game. I just don't hit it high enough. You and I both are kind of...
We have a similar affliction.
We have a little... We're launch deficient.
I'm with you.
But yeah, I was, I really like blue, but I always thought that this actually made a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Especially, like you mentioned, the hybrid. Hitting something high that lands soft onto a green.
It's huge.
That still has stability, so you don't have to worry, again, about maybe necessarily that ball going right or left on you. You have that stability. It just makes a whole lot of sense for a hybrid. And I kind of like now looking back going, man, why wasn't there red before? Because it makes a whole lot of sense.
It does.
And I think there's a lot of golfers out there that they're putting a hybrid in the bag for that reason anyway. Hey, I don't hit my 4 or 5 iron very high.
Correct.
I don't hit it very far anymore. And this help, not only does the hybrid help, but then adding something like this in to add some consistency, some height, and to get those balls that stop on the green where they weren't able to do it before is just a huge thing. So I think this piece, the red, I think is going to do really, really well.
We're excited about it. And similar to irons, hybrids are kind of a target club. We're trying to hit specific yardages. Maybe it's a long par 3. Maybe it's coming into a second shot on a par 5. And so we do need to control that landing angle and make sure that it is appropriate to stop on a green. And I think a third profile will help a lot of players achieve that. So we agree with you. We think it makes sense. We got asked a lot about it in the first generation. Are we going to see a red? And the answer is yes. But yeah, I think it completes the family. VeloCore Plus kind of throughout the hybrid and all the woods, it's going to be great.
And here's the big question, I guess, too, because you mentioned you can use these in utility irons.
Correct.
So you can put, whether you're looking for low launch and play it down in some windy conditions, or you're looking to launch it high and carry it further.
Correct.
But with this, I guess the big question I think a lot of people always ask, and I know I get asked a lot, why would you put one of these Ventus HB models in over, say, an Axiom? Like, kind of what's the difference when you look at a utility or hybrid compared to an iron shaft?
Yeah, feel-wise, it's going to feel more like a wood shaft than an iron shaft.
Gotcha.
That's kind of the first part of it. They're going to feel more similar to their wood counterparts than they would, say, an Axiom iron shaft. And it really is that idea of kind of generating launch and spin, depending on which profile you're going to. Now, if you're going to play a Ventus Black HB and you're playing an Axiom 125X, both of those profiles are made to be stout and kind of go low. Yep. But when you get into that blue and red category, it is that idea of blending more of like a wood type feel and load profile versus an iron. With irons, we want them to be a little more specific in what we're trying to get them to do. Feels a little bit more specific. These kind of blend more in with woods than with irons. But having said that, there's really no right or wrong. I mean, we make iron shafts that are fantastic for utility irons. We make hybrid shafts. So it's really two things. It's launch and spin characteristics, and it's feel more than anything.
And I think you made that point of working with your fitter to figure out what exactly you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
And that feel. Do you want it to feel more like your irons and go somewhere with an Axiom, or do you want something that feels a little bit more like a wood? And then you have the option here of what launch and spin characteristic do you need?
Yeah, and you're going to see these range in weight categories too. You're going to get all the way down into 60 grams, all the way up into kind of the 90 and the 100. So there's a lot of wiggle room there depending on what you're trying to achieve. So, to your point, something in a 60-gram red might be just right for a player with a hybrid in the bag. They're trying to generate a lot of launch and spin. But that doesn't mean we don't have this in heavier X flexes too, because it just depends on what the player is trying to achieve with that shaft. So it gives us a well-rounded approach to that.
Yeah, definitely. So I like the expansion. I think, seeing the full Ventus kind of family that we saw in woods, now we see it in hybrids, I think is awesome. And it does. I think it gives a little wider range of option when you walked into your fitter, that you're not just have 2 options, you now have 3. Yeah. And it's just going to fit more players. So
and then cosmetically as well is going to take cues from the wood line.
Yeah,
you're going to see the same shade of blue, same shade of red, the black, kind of a similar decal in the artwork where you have kind of the knocked out outline letters, the upgraded version of VeloCore Plus down at the tip. So it just kind of runs through the family.
Yeah, no, it's definitely Ventus, and it's going to be exciting to get these out and hit them. So, Spencer Reynolds, thank you very much.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
Walking through the new Ventus HB lineup.
You got it.
Go to FujikuraGolf.com, check out more, see all the specs, find your authorized fitter, and try them for yourself.
Thanks, BK.